Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay, and I mentored Caitlin for this summer. She's a student at Fieldston School in the Bronx. Initially, she was really interested in sustainability and the environment, and through jumping through hoops and figuring out what exactly her path was going to be, which she'll share with you about, she landed on a really cool project about air monitoring, and I'll let her tell you more about that. But she's had a really great summer and she's been really excited to share what you share with everyone what she's got in the middle of her travels to Hawaii and playing soccer over the summer. So I don't want to give too much away, so I'm just gonna let her tell you everything she's got and everything she learned. So take it away.
Thanks, Lindsay. So yeah, I'm Caitlin. I'm going into 12th grade at the Fieldston School, which is in the Bronx in New York, and I live in Manhattan. So this is a bit about Lindsay. She's from Cleveland, Ohio, and she has a geology and chemistry bachelor's at Kent State University. She also has a master's in geoscience from University of Nebraska at Lincoln, and she's currently working at PPG on the color core team to help design formulas for automotive paint, which is super cool. And she also loves to garden and cycle. These are photos of us with our respective families. So this is my project. It's called Research and Design Air Quality Monitor Improvement in New York City. And it works to standardize air quality monitors across all 5 boroughs in New York City. So like Lindsay said, going into this session at Magic, I knew I was interested in sustainability and wanted to do a project about that. That could also have the potential to create real change, especially locally in the city where I've grown up most of my life. I knew a little bit about air quality going into the session at Magic, but it was really a vague introduction. So I really wanted to dig deeper into the topic and learn more about it. And as I did towards the beginning, Lindsay and I found that there really are some disparities in air quality monitoring across all 5 boroughs in New York City, especially from an income standpoint, sorry. And so I wanted to really do a project that would not only help me learn more about air quality monitoring and how it happens, but also how I could make the process in my city a bit more equitable and what I would change about it. So I started by doing a research paper, which will be available for all of you to view if you want. But that started with comparing 2 different air quality monitors, which I'll get into in a minute. And then later in the paper, I detailed, and also as a separate thing, I designed my own monitor as a blueprint and what I would like to see improved, both from an efficiency, accuracy, and also cost-effective standpoint. So like I said in my research paper, I started with a high to low cost comparison. So I measured and researched 2 different air quality monitors that are already on the market and are also being used in New York City today. So one is the Quant AQ Modulaire, which is the graph, which I'll talk about in a second, is at the bottom left side. And then the other graph is corresponding to the air gradient PM monitors. So both of these monitors are measuring PM, which is particulate matter, which is what most air quality monitors are measuring. So as I'm trying to create a monitor that was more standardized, I knew I wanted to look at 2 monitors that were both measuring particulate matter, which contributes to air quality largely. And so these are just 2 screenshots I took of some graphs that I put into my research paper, which if you all decide to read that later, you can read a little bit more about what they're talking about. But these are data outputs from both of the respective monitors. And when I was comparing them, a big part of it was how accessible the data was. So these are minute by minute updated data points from each of the monitors. And as you can see, they're both somewhat similar. So they're tracking the active devices that the customer or consumer will have, what the reading is of the air quality in the area, and kind of just how it's changed over time. So as I was looking at standardizing air quality monitors, it was definitely important to me to know how accessible the data was for readings for the customers in the area. So my magical experience, I really enjoyed having a space to work on a STEM project that I was really excited about and maybe didn't get to explore in the classroom in a school environment. Getting to work with Lindsay was a really awesome experience because she had her own unique perspectives, and I really just loved to be able to bounce ideas off of her. She had great suggestions that really shaped my project, and just having a mentor was awesome. Getting to learn about everyone else's projects was a really fun aspect of the session, I will say, especially at the midpoint presentation. And I definitely got to work on my time management skills and being flexible with my project. It was taking a bit of a turn, and I later decided a few weeks into the project that I wanted to hone in on air quality monitoring specifically. So being flexible with my plan for the rest of the session was definitely important. And also I learned more about how to sufficiently communicate data. So this is my demo. I can just speak over it, but this is just, we decided to do a little time lapse of me sketching out the blueprint for the project. There'll be a better bird's eye view at the end, but I basically just drew out the inlet where the air would flow into the monitor. And then all the air quality monitors obviously have to have an airflow tube. So that's kind of what that pipe is. And then I don't know if you can see, but there's a photodiode which converts light into energy. So all monitors use, most PM monitors use a light scattering strategy, which will basically have the particulate matter flow into the air tube. And then it'll use either a laser or some sort of light source to scan the size and measurements of each particulate matter, where the monitor will then be able to calculate the quality of the air based on algorithm that was input into the monitor ahead of time. Oh, and then sorry, if you don't mind just pausing right there on the bird's eye view at the end, I could just continue to explain the rest. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. So yeah, so you have the light trap where the light will shine into that box with the photodiode. The rest of the airflow tube will flow into a fan just to circulate the monitor. And then of course you have the outlet. Also, there's a small box for the SD card. And it would also have obviously the motherboard with all the programming and all the algorithms. So I wanted to make sure just another component of the monitor is whether or not VOCs or volatile organic compounds, excuse me, were measured in monitors. So in most air quality monitors, especially in the New York City area, VOCs aren't measured in air quality monitors. And this is not a super huge problematic aspect of most monitors, but some of you might know last year, there was huge Canadian wildfires that the smoke blew into the New York City area, and just the sky was a totally different color. We were facing really poor air quality for a few weeks. And that really opened my eyes to sort of extraneous circumstances that could take place with air quality. And when I did further research, I noticed that well, wildfires, for example, contain VOCs. And so if an air quality monitor is not able to measure volatile organic compounds, it cannot really be accurate in an extraneous circumstance like wildfires. So I really wanted to make sure that my improved monitor would be able to use that. And I go into further detail in my research paper how volatile organic compounds would be measured in my monitor. But it would basically have to just be calibrated ahead of time in the manufacturing process, which it would still create a cost-effective monitor. And that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caitlin. What questions do we have from the audience? Ooh, excuse me. Oh, I see Arti hand raised.
Hi, Caitlin. Just wanted to say you're a fantastic presenter and really loved seeing the time lapse of your blueprint. I was curious if you got to see the air quality monitors that you studied in the wild doing their thing.
Thank you. So yeah, actually one detail I actually forgot to mention is the higher cost monitor. There's actually one on my school campus, which kind of inspired me to look at that one as a higher cost option versus the lower cost option. So I have been able to see the higher cost modular in action, and that was definitely eye-opening for me as I was going into further research about it.
Cool.
Wonderful, thank you. And we have a question from Lippy, and she says, what are your future plans for further improving air quality monitoring?
Yeah, so I would definitely say a big part of that is making sure that most monitors are also measuring the VOCs for extenuating circumstances like wildfires, especially like in the context of climate change, and them becoming more frequent. And then also just accessibility, like I mentioned, in the city right now, obviously there are air quality monitors, but it's definitely disproportionate in terms of which ones are private, which ones are from the government, et cetera. So I would say definitely making them more widely accessible, and so that less people have to pay out of pocket for monitors.